Okay. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, depends where you are. I'm Irene Wong, your host for Everything Ballroom. I am a pro-am dancer for 17 years, and I'm also a owner for a ballroom dance shop called Everything Ballroom as well. Our goal for this YouTube channel is to share tips to pro-am dancers so we can all get tips from judges and dancers. So hopefully that will speed up our winning journey. We also would like to share the wonderful experience of this ballroom dance world and hopefully to get more people know about this fascinating industry as well. I hope you like what we do. Give us a thumbs up if you do, and subscribe to the channel Everything Ballroom. So today, I'm very excited to have again our co-host Andrea Stefano, very experienced professional teacher and judges to be my co-hosts, and hopefully he's going to help me ask some very pointy question to our next guest. And this guest is a very, very popular professional dancer, very well known, and I think most of people in the ballroom dance will know him. He is a world professional champions in international standard, has been coaching and mentoring a lot of professional and poem dancers. And I can't wait to have a conversation with this gentleman. And he is Luca Baricchi. So without further ado, let's welcome Andrea and Luca. Thank you for joining us today.
Hi, Irene.
Thank
Hi,
you.
Andrea. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we get started, Andrea, for the people that don't know Andrea, we have an interview with him and go check out our YouTubes. But for Luca, and a lot of people know you, but a lot of people don't know you that you are now living in Dubai. Very interesting fact.
Yes.
Why you chose Dubai to live in?
Um, I chose Dubai. I was looking for a location that is warm and that is exciting and growing. And Dubai is certainly that place. You know, there's a lot of positive energy. Everybody here is very successful and driven by success. And I like to have such energy around me because it's motivating to grow further, you know, to continue to develop and to continue to grow.
So do they have a lot of dance studio or ballroom dancing there, or you travel a lot?
No, actually, not so. Ballroom dancing in general here has to be developed, which is also good. You know, there's opportunity for to grow these countries, to introduce dancing here. There are some studios that are successful, but for sure, potentially there's a lot more space. But most of my work when I'm home is online, so it really does not matter where I actually am. So unless I'm traveling to particular countries to share, you know, most of my sharing is done online. So Dubai is no
Very,
problem.
very
Yes.
advanced online coaching.
It is,
Perfect.
and I like it because it gives you freedom, you know, to be anywhere you want. Yeah.
Andrea, you want to
Great.
ask
Yeah. This connects me with the differences between the old world versus with the new technologies, and the fact that we can do this today is thanks to technology, that we can be in different parts of the world, Dubai, US, Hong Kong, and have a call. It's so how do you? The question is, how do you compare the dance world today with the dance world of the times when you were a competitor?
It's very different. It's a very different world. For many things, it may have evolved. For many other things, it has possibly gone in the wrong direction or evolved in the wrong direction. One thing that I was very privileged to have or to live, because I was more or less dancing during the peak, especially in Europe, especially in England, of ballroom dancing. And at that time, if you were truly successful, that would really change your life. It would change your life in fame and in financially also. There was access to incredible amount of possibility and potentiality in all kinds of different aspects. And also, I believe that there was more attention given to becoming great dancers. There was the overall belief that great dancing, that you would need, first of all, to become a great dancer in order to then become successful. And that is something that I feel has changed through the generations that I've seen, where becoming successful has become more important than becoming a great dancer. And the two things have kind of separated a little bit, although it seems very strange, right? It seems unusual that you can say that, well, you can choose to be successful as a dancer without becoming great or without focusing on becoming great. But I believe that this has happened in this last generation. So the whole environment has changed, the energy of the environment has changed. And when it comes to career, I feel that now there's opportunities for everyone, because the Pro-Am, let's say, has given opportunity, the beautiful world of the Pro-Am has given opportunity to all level of dancers to be able to make dancing their profession. During my generation, I would say that you had to be in the top, and then it would be huge potentiality in every aspect. If you were further back, in the field, it would make it a little bit more difficult, to maybe sustain your dancing. And therefore, I saw many dancers actually maybe struggle a little bit, more than what they do now. So you can say the gap closed. There was a much larger gap in the past between the top couples and everyone else, and now I feel that the gap is actually closed. So there's positives there and there are negatives. But the main thing that I don't appreciate is this overall sense.
So when you say that, you mean when you say gap, do you mean in the actual quality of dancing, or which if I know you, I think that's what you're referring to specifically?
No, in this case, I was referring more to the potentiality, let's say, of making dancing a career. So during my generation, the top couples would have an amazing life, great potential, great access to so many shows everywhere in the world, and truly become famous. And then you had a big gap with the other couples that would be a little bit more struggling. Struggling to sustain their dancing, to finance their dancing, and so on. Now I feel that gap is closed. I feel that everyone can actually have a good career. It's not necessary.
So it's a good one, right?
In this sense, is good. Yes, this aspect is good. That's where the Pro-Am world has helped a lot for that, right? Because then there's a lot more opportunity to make dancing a career for dancers. Before, during my times, the Pro-Am world was maybe just starting in the US, but it was very limited to the US. So every other country relied on shows. The top couples would do an incredible amount of shows. So I used to travel to Japan. At the time, Japan was an incredible market for dancing. Still is, but at the time it was really incredible. And I would have, I don't know, an average of 6 shows a week for a period of, let's say, 2 months that I would spend there. So that was, I didn't teach. I didn't need to teach at all, because, and some of the other top competitors were doing the same kind of life. So it was easier to focus the whole energy into dancing, let's say, because there was no need of teaching, no need of, I was so extremely careful of keeping the sensitivity that I had with my partner, and not let's say, touch anybody else, any other dancer, in order to disturb that. Now, of course, the
Do you
dynamics.
mean that now is more competitive and is more political compared to what you have? You mentioned about, the dancing, focus on the dancing, not as a career. Now, do you see this? Did I hear what you said?
Yes, I feel the priorities and the overall message has changed. So when I went to London as a young man, as a very young man, to study there, because at that time England was the center. If you wanted to become a great dancer, that's where you would go. And the message was very clear. The message was, become a great dancer first. The result will come, right? But don't be concerned with the result. Become a great dancer. Once you become a great dancer, you will be recognized, and then the results will come. So that was the overall message sent by the establishment. So the attention, the essential thing, that the dancers had was, okay, I'm just going to focus, and I'm going to be totally committed to become a great dancer. I believe that now the approach has changed. So now it is more the focus of the establishment as well has become more, okay, let's win the competition. And maybe later we can become great dancers, or maybe it's not necessary. Or there's a choice. Now there's more of a choice between, I can go for the path of becoming a great dancer, which is a longer path, obviously, like anything that is that we want to be great at takes time. Or there can be a shortcut and try to just get results. And that is a shame to me, because I feel that the energy of the dancers, therefore, is diluted and directed much more into getting a good result. And then the result becomes the priority. And that is also a very dangerous thing to do as a dancer.
But let me ask you this, because I always think that the problem is never at the bottom, it's always at the top. But what do I know? How much responsibilities do teachers and judges have on all of this that you're saying?
I think everyone has a responsibility there, right? The establishment certainly has a responsibility, because the establishment is what dictates the direction. And
when you say establishment, are you talking about the organizations?
Organization, yes, the federations, the organizations, the teachers,
Federation?
the judges, right? All that is part of what I, let's say, define as the establishment. I mean, I experienced it on my own body. Yes, so I was successful in Italy, the different categories already from child. Yes, then I went to London, and the gap at the time between the level of dancing in Italy and the level of dancing in England was big. Then later the Italians, of course, we kind of developed at a tremendous speed. But at that time, the gap was huge. But the message that I received, so I was used to win, right? In Italy, I was winning. And then I went to England, and I believe the first year I danced the British Open, I was maybe in the 98, I was out. But there was no questioning the establishment, because the message was very clear. You are not good enough. You just have to improve your dancing. You have to become a great dancer. And as I said, therefore, the result became a secondary issue. So the focus was not in getting the result. the fulfillment from the performance was not, did I win or lose the competition? The fulfillment came and the motivation came from, am I improving? Am I moving towards becoming a great dancer? So it was a very healthy, and the power was in the dancer. And that also was very clear to me at a young age, because it was very clear that I had no control over the result, because the result is decided by judges that are comparing who is performing, and also which I have no control over, and also how are the other dancers performing. So maybe some other competitors are dancing better than me, so there's nothing I can do about that.
May I ask that specific question? I'm sorry to interrupt you. How can you win without becoming a good dancer, right? To me, you win because you're a good dancer, okay?
Yes.
And then you become a good dancer, then you win. So it's
Connected.
interlinked. But you mentioned to me and make me think, you say, now you don't need to become a good dancer to win. So
I would
that
say
is what I get.
Yeah, I would say
How?
you don't need to become a great dancer. You can become a good dancer, yes. I mean, you have to be good, yes, at least good. But the motivation to become a great dancer is not so present now.
Why? Because I'm still want to win. In order to win, so
That's
that
the
part,
point. That's the point.
I don't understand how and why that could happen.
Because now less dancers believe that great dancing that makes you win.
What made you win?
The social aspect of it.
Okay, explain a little bit more about that. That's what I'm trying to get into.
Yes, how connected
So,
you are, how liked you are, how connected you are to the establishment, or how many teachers you have, so that will then become also judges. So that changes the whole dynamic. Yeah, it changes the whole dynamics.
So, but why? How is it different than when you were in the top of professionals? How is that different now than then?
At that time, I believe the whole establishment. I mean, humans are humans. Yes, so there's always going to be people that you like and people that you don't like, or a style of dancing that you like and a style of dancing that you don't like, and that will affect the judge opinion and marks in the competition. So we cannot eliminate totally the human aspect, but the whole establishment agreed that, first of all, the couples that would need to be great, and then compared, and then some influence, would be there, but at that level. But first of all, you would have to be a great dancer, and the great dancers were overall always respected, and that's why you
so
always
did
had. Yes,
I hear you saying, which I'm hoping is not, okay, that it's more political because the way that you need to win is through connections, through a lot of coachings, and that create the bias in the judges' point of
Yes.
view, so you
Yes.
can win.
Yes, I mean, it's proven, it's been shown and is promoted. This is why I retired from judging about 5 or 6 years ago, because what I didn't like was the feeling of students would come to me for lessons, and then I found myself looking in their eyes and try to understand if they were coming to me because they wanted to learn from me, or if they came to have a social interaction hoping that I would have a good eye for them in the next competition. And I really did not like that feeling. I felt very uncomfortable with that. And that is why I retired from judging, so that then it became clear that the students that came to me were coming because they wanted to learn from my knowledge and my insights and my thoughts. And that made the relationship, makes now also the relationship very healthy, because the relationship is very simple, it's very straightforward. And yes, Irene, so basically there is certainly a much greater tendency now to feel as a dancer that they have to go for many lessons and they have to interact with many teachers that will be judging in order to make sure that they are looked at and considered.
So it would be better judges who were not teachers at this point.
Yes, but that also becomes difficult, right? The dynamics of that become difficult because you want experts to be adjudicators, although now is not always the case. But also you want the experts to be teaching. So it would be, again, my experience as a young man going to London 40 years ago, right? And or starting to go to London about 40 years ago. There was an overall desire to protect the great dancing. So it is not that at that time politics didn't take place, right? Politics, there can be clean politics. We are doing politics now. We're having a conversation and we're sharing our opinion, and so this is also politics, right? But there are good politics, clean politics, and then there are, of course, more shady politics. So at that time,
what
it
do
was
you
clear
recommend?
for the whole establishment. Yeah, it was clear for the whole establishment that, first of all, we had to have great dancing. That was the motivation. So the dancers were motivated to focus on their dancing. Yes, Irene.
How do you see this change? Why this change? How, in the ideal world, what would you recommend?
Well, what I share, what I share always, no matter if it's on Instagram, no matter if it's with my students or in workshops or in conversations like we're having now. Again, out of my experience as a dancer, it is important to focus on what you can control. So to me, this was very clear already as a young dancer. And this is what I was starting to share earlier. It was clear to me that I could not control how other dancers were performing. And I entered the dancing world and I grew up surrounded by other great dancers. My generation is considered the golden era when there were many great dancers in ballroom and in Latin in every field. So it was clear to me that I could not control how other dancers were performing. And also I could not control what was the opinion of the judges. How would the judge compare me with the other couples? This was not up to me. So what was clear to me was that the only control I had was on how great am I going to become. So all my energy, it was very essential. Yeah, my direction was essential. I dropped all the things that were irrelevant, all the things that I couldn't control. And what could I control? How great I would become as a dancer. So which teacher is going to help me to become the greatest? Which one is the best teacher? I'm going to go there. Regardless if he's politically powerful or liked or not liked, it didn't matter because that was not a priority to me. The priority was, is this teacher going to help me develop and become a great dancer? As a result, my career was very healthy, very simple and very healthy. And this is why I I believe that this is the reason why I went very quickly to the top of the field, because my approach was very simple. So I didn't have waste of energy. I wasn't distracted by other things that I couldn't control. So anything that I couldn't control, I let go of. And therefore my energy could be totally channeled into what could I control, which was just how great, how good first, right? First of all, my approach was, okay, how good can I become? And then I realized that, oh, actually I can become great. Yeah, I have the potential to become great. So what I see now, and of course I am teaching many students, and I have conversations with many dancers. The energy is spread in so many directions, because they have to make sure that they go to all the competitions so that the organizers are happy. They go to the many judges, to the many teachers, because they are judging. So how the amount of energy that they dedicate purely to their dancing is now maybe 20%. Yes, so they're not essential in their approach. And if you're not essential in what you're doing, you're never gonna maximize the contribution that you can give, because your energy is wasted in so many directions.
Let me ask you,
Very
this just came to my mind that we had an interview with another icon a few days ago, Mr. Sam Sodano. And Sam, it was very interesting that he said that in the 60s, when he went to Blackpool at the beginning of his days of dancing profession, he went to Blackpool and he started dancing professionally. He found his dancing and his peers they were all good, and they were all very different from one another. And that made me think of you, and the fact that when I don't know if you remember what we talked in the past, and you have expressed the same feelings. So and I have had the privilege to witness that, because I remember you and all your competitors being all very, very good, and yet very, very different from one another in personality and in style, and yet being all excellent dancers and fantastic performers. So how do you think this has changed, and why do you think this has happened?
This is very connected to what...
If you do think that this has happened, but I think it's connected with what you're saying.
It has, for sure it has happened. Very connected to what I just shared, right? Because the approach that I had I was not the only couple with that approach. That's why there were many great dancers during that period. We were always asked to feel. Feeling was very important. So again, we used to go to London. I mean, it is 40 years ago, but already VHS were available, so you could see some things, right? There was no social media, technology was more limited, but we were still able to watch some great dancers. And I remember as a young boy already have a VHS from videotape from Blackpool, and I could see these amazing dancers perform. So, and you could copy them somehow. You could have an idea, you could use them as a point of reference and copy them. But to learn how it felt, you had to go to London. Right? You had to be there. Otherwise, you could be a copy. You could have a good copy, good shape, good form, but missing, right, the essence and what makes dancing special and magical. So we were all promoted, and feeling was really promoted so much. You have to feel. It's about the feel. You have to sense it. You have to feel it. because of that language and that strong guidance in that direction, we all trusted our feeling. And that's why you had all these great dancers producing a different expression of the same technique, of the same information. But because that information was filtered and understood through our own individual feelings and expressed, therefore, through our own individual emotions. And not to impress anyone, but to really express ourselves. Yeah? Now, the moment that the focus shifts to winning the competition, now the mind changes, the approach changes, because now you are no longer focused on expressing yourself, but you now have to impress, because if you want to win the competition, your attention has to go to the judges. You have to be liked by the judges. So you're moving from expression to impression. The moment that you have to impress, you now have to think, okay, what do the judges want? And here goes away all the individualism, right? All the individuality disappears, because now you are no longer looking inside, developing your expression and your individualism because you trust in your feeling and you just want to express it. And you trust that the establishment will acknowledge that. Now you're actually focused on how can I make the judges like me? So the whole energy is now shifting into a different direction. As a result, you have less and less, right, through the generation, less and less individuality, less and less personalities, and much more conformism, because everybody is trying to conform to what they think the judges will like. Therefore, the artistic value is lost in the process, unfortunately.
Wow, that's so very interesting because yeah, I was just interviewed Natalie and they were just talking about, now all the dancers go through become a sausage, all the same. I can't believe that it just come up again and saying that the losing of that individuality and from express to impress, that I'm falling the trap, right? I'm
Yes.
interviewed judges and ask what the judges are looking for, and I'm passing these information to the pro-am dancers. I'm just following all of this, saying that because we want to win, and that's why we're doing this. So the whole system are doing exactly what you're
Yes.
talking about. So very insightful. How, you did give us as a dancer and say, focus on your dancing and don't worry about, winning. But the whole system is not that. And how can we make some changes or make us feel if I'm good dancers, I can win? And then a lot of dancers that I'm talking to and say, okay, I don't feel I can win by purely focus on my dancing, right?
Mm. Yeah, and this is very sad, because freedom is the primary right of every human being. So the moment that I, as an artist, as a dancer, don't feel that I can be free to express myself. Now, obviously, within the respect of the regulations of what ballroom dancing is, or Latin American dancing is, obviously. But the moment that as an artist, I don't feel that I can be free to express, then I'm no longer an artist. Yeah, so competition is, in my personal career, I never competed. I never thought of competition, because to me, competition, if I play tennis, let's say Andrea and I go and play tennis together. Now, this can be a competition because I can look at Andrea's game and I can maybe see that his backhand is a little bit weak. And therefore, I can keep trying to force him to play backhands, hoping that he will make a mistake. So there's a direct competition, and there's a mind game that plays between the two players. In dancing, I mean, this can happen beforehand. It can happen in practice. You can have a mind game with a competitor, right, in the practice, because you can perform and they can suddenly feel intimidated by your dancing, and that can maybe make them weaker in the competition. But when it comes to the day of the competition, you are not competing as a dancer. You are not. I never felt I was competing because it was not in my hand. In my hand was, how great am I going to be today? How great am I going to perform today? So no matter what other people think or do, or maybe other dancers were having great performances too. I mean, did it help me if I concentrated on that? And if I worried about it, it didn't really help me. It would just cause me actually to be distracted. So I didn't want to know anything about what my fellow competitors were doing, but I would just want to focus totally and essentially to my performance. So it's not really a competition. The competition is created by the fact that then there are judges there that evaluate the performances and decide who they prefer on that particular day. So the judges are creating the competition, not the dancers. The dancers should be there to perform, not to compete. And a great competitor.
Sorry, Luca. How can now young dancers be exposed to feeling and express themselves when they are taught, because it's clearly, and again, like I said earlier, the problem always starts at the top and never at the bottom, in my opinion. How can they be exposed to feeling and expression and being sensitive to with their partners and all of the things that you, for example, were able to? And as you know, this is not a secret. I've told you many times. I've been a fan of your dancing for many years. I mean, you've been one of the greatest ever danced. Right? Still now today, I don't think people can produce the same quality movement that you were able to create. But this is besides the point. It's not about you, right?
Yes.
How can they express such quality when they're taught to be fast, strong? It's more, and this is mainly in the ballroom that I'm, in standard, international standard that I'm talking about. But because I'm not an expert in Latin by all means, and I'm not an expert in standard either, but I see the difference. How can they? Isn't that almost impossible? Everything is and athleticism, and that's not what we're talking about.
Okay, just Andrea was breaking.
His connection is not very good, but you probably get his questions.
Yes, absolutely. Well, it's difficult and easy at the same time right now. It's more difficult because the overall establishment, of course, is not promoting that. Therefore, the dancer himself has to be choosing to say, no, I want to be artistic, I want to express myself, and I don't want to lose my freedom of expression. And therefore, I'm going to go and express myself and perform what I believe. And so that is maybe difficult because it's the less walked path. On the other hand, it's easy to make the difference because now whoever chooses to do that would look very different. It would look very unique more easily. Yes, because again, we go back to my generation. At the time, everyone was walking that path. So in order to really express something special, you had to be special. Now, because majority is conforming, to take an approach of uniqueness actually immediately will stand out. At the beginning, it may not be accepted. At the beginning, it may be criticized. But this is where it's important that as a dancer, you believe in what you do and you continue to walk your path and continue to develop it. And what makes you a great competitor indirectly, right? What indirectly makes you a good competitor without trying to be a good competitor is the clarity of your intention. So if you are clear in what you're delivering because you believe in that and because you're doing what you love, and therefore because you're doing what you love, you're going to practice it and you're going to believe into it and you're going to express it with your allness, then, and you're not doubting it, right? You're not trying to perform that, but doubting, wondering what are the judges thinking, because now you become weak. Yeah, so you have to believe in it and go in 100%. That's what can make anyone a great competitor, just the clarity of delivery of what it is they believe in. So indirectly you become a great competitor because you're a great performer. But you're a great performer because you are performing what you believe in. So yes, so more difficult now because it's the less walked path, but also easier because if you do it, you immediately stand out.
So basically, what your advice is, right?
Yes.
Don't to impress judges, don't waste your resources to focus on getting coaching because you want to win or getting lessons because you want to win. It's not the right way. We should 100% focus on become a good dancer, to express our own feelings and not worry about winning. And it's more we focus on dancing our 100% our resources, our money, our time, our everything. Focus on that. Actually, it is the way to actually to become a great dancer, to stand out. In eventually you will win because of that.
Yes, correct. And if you don't win, the winning or losing the competition at the end doesn't really matter.
That's good point too. Don't worry about winning or losing. But why we compete then, right?
Because my students and the people that love my dancing when I'm performing or love my sharing now, they don't love that because I won or didn't win. They don't even know, right? Very often I ask, how many times did I win? Yeah, when I have conversations about this with students. And of course they don't know, right? Did I win 1 time, 2 times, 3 times? Did I ever win? It's irrelevant. But one thing that I definitely did is produce something special. I gave a large contribution as a dancer. Therefore, and that's what stays as a career afterwards. So for a dancer, that wants to have a career in the dancing world, it's important also to recognize that the winning or the losing in the short term, of course, it can hurt or make you happy. Is short-term happiness or short-term sadness. But in the long term, it's important that the dancer produces something special. If you produce something special, you become iconic, and then dancers will want to come and learn from you or listen to you because you have something special to share. But if you have not developed that, and you won many competitions and many titles, but you don't have anything special because you didn't work on that, you didn't channel your energy there, you channel your energy on impressing. There are many champions now, especially, right? The more federations, more champions, so there are, I don't know how many world champions now. So it's no longer so relevant to be a world champion or not. What is very relevant is, have you produced something special? Do you have something special to share because you went so deeply into you that you have something really to share? Or are you shallow and your sharing is very superficial? And now you're counting on, okay, how many titles you won, but somebody else after you will win other titles. So then you're no longer relevant, right? You lose your relevance because you're no longer in fashion. So the fulfillment does not come from winning the competition. The fulfillment comes from how you're performing.
I agree with you because actually from a poem, but as a pro-am dancer, right? So I compete because I feel that's how pushing me to practice, to get better, right? So, the competition, it is to me, is a great tool, to pushing me. I'm thinking if I'm not a social dancer, my husband don't dance. If I don't compete, I don't have a way. I
Yes.
mean, we can, but it's like you have a timeline, you need to go there, and then you can compare with other people that you're dancing. And I'm looking at my video and I was like, ooh, pretty suck. Then to make me to, oh, I think I danced well from looking at the video. Oh my God, I danced not well. So
I
that
can
is a good
better.
motivation for me to keep going. But I agree with you is that after 17 years of dancing, I don't really care too much. Number one, two, three. I'm more focused on, oh, do I dance well? I knew in my heart, even though I don't judge well, I feel I improve. I feel dance well. I'm happy. Even I'm judged well, but I know I didn't dance well, and I won't be happy. I think I'm get to that point like what you have is that really is focus our dancing to become a good dancer. I ask that question to many people. What's your goal? Do you want to be a good dancer or you just want to win and show your trophy, right? So some people like that. It's okay. But,
Sure.
like what you said, a healthier dancer is to dance to express and
Yes.
enjoy the journey of becoming
Absolutely.
a good
And I
dancer.
100% agree with you, Irene, about the approach to competition, because the competition is a motivation. Because you have the competition, you have to prepare for your performance. You have the pressure of wanting to perform well, and that's good because that drives you to practice, that drives you to study, that drives you to develop. So fantastic, right? That's the healthy aspect of competition, and it's a platform. So again, during my times, for some reason, I was always able to create enemies. I seem to have a natural talent in creating enemies. I don't do it purposely, but it's somehow, it's a talent I have. And so already in my earlier years as a top, when I became famous, right? And then in those years, I already managed to create some powerful enemies. But I didn't really, I also redirected that energy into motivation. Because that's also the great thing. Because if you're focusing on your development, anything that happens to you, you can use that energy and really channel it into giving you motivation. So when people were criticizing me, or I knew that there were people maybe that they were trying to play in some games, that pressure didn't break me, but actually motivated me more to practice harder, to learn more, to become even greater as a dancer, because I felt that's my power. That's what I can do. Nobody can stop me from becoming a great dancer. And the competitions are a platform. The competitions are the platform where you can, the moment I walked on the floor, that's it, right? Nobody can speak. Now my dancing will speak. Now my performance will speak. And the platform is where you are then in charge. Yeah. So the moment I walked on the floor, I never felt intimidated. I actually felt, now this is my moment. Now I am on the floor. I am on the stage. Now is my time to really share my expression. So competitions have two values. One, motivation. Two, there are platforms where you can go and express yourself, because there are people there that are ready to enjoy your performance and to enter with you, to come into your performance and enjoy it with you. So that's the healthy aspect of competition. So competitions are good. If they are taken in this kind of way, if they're used, as you said, Irene, as a tool to motivate you and as a platform.
Great. Thank you so much. I think
Can I ask
this is
one? Can I ask
yes,
one more
keep
question?
going.
Can I just add one more little detail on all this conversation? Very deep and very informative for all of us, I think. How do we? I mean, the majority, I assumed, of our followers are pro-am dancers or amateurs. These apply also to amateurs that are not necessarily seeking a professional career.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, this is, it is tragic, I feel, when anyone that starts dancing, no matter if it's a young dancers that will, a young boy or girl that will then make it a life career, or a professional person that now has time to dance and decides to dance at the later age and wants to enter our world and enjoy the beauty of an artistic aspect of dancing. It's a tragedy when all that is spoiled by all this attention given to the result. Because then these dancers that, and again, I experienced this too, these dancers that are not dancing as a career. So nothing changes in their life if they win the competition or lose it. I mean, their life doesn't change also for a professional, but let's say that it changes even less for a pro-am student, right? If they win or not win the competition. Because they're already maybe successful business people and they are dancing for the enjoyment of that. But then they forget to enjoy it. They forget to find the fulfillment through the dancing itself, because that winning or not winning the competition becomes so important. And then eventually they stop dancing because they end up hating the whole thing. Yeah, because they now forgotten why they danced in the first place, which was for the love of dancing. But the love of dancing disappears and becomes secondary to how they have to look and how they have to hold the posture or the frame or which are important. I'm not saying that posture is not part of, it's not something we should not learn, or frame is not something we should not learn. But again, are we using dancing to express ourselves and to find fulfillment in that, or are we using that to impress and to try to get some validation by winning a competition? So this is for any level and for any style and for any type of dancer. So and it's even more tragic for me when it is a pro-am student that does this.
So
Because then
I think, it sounds to me and said, let's focus, let's channel, whether it's tragic or not. As a dancer, we have a choice, right? I'm a
yes,
pro-am dancer. We have a choice, to decide what we want out of this. What from
yes,
Luca you talking about is that let's make the right choice to make sure dancing is about express ourselves instead of impress others, right? So if we make the right choice, we'll keep enjoying dancing. So we will have very healthy, development in even in the pro and dance world. The competition is a platform for us to express. I enjoy so much. It's just the people cheering for me, and then people come back to me and say, I enjoy watching you. Even though I didn't get into final. I didn't get to, the top podium. But, let's rechannel ourselves. No matter what the establishment is about, we can make the choice, right? Because it's such a beautiful sport, allow us to have physical expression, look beautiful,
Yes.
and all of the good benefit of it. So I hopefully say, okay, you know, like what you said, maybe that we can, like people like you have more influential to influence the establishment also, and and trying to channel their energy on that. So actually, maybe I'm asking one more question is that, trying to ask this before, we can control the establishment. If you are the establishment, you are people in control. What would you do to make the change? You are the top. People can make changes. What would you do to move the direction back to this? What I heard when people said, make sure to separate the judge and the coaches. If the judge and the coach are not, you know, in the same role, maybe already have, dilute the focus of people trying to impress to get the point.
Yes.
I don't know. I'm just asking in general,
Yes.
what would you do?
For me, being essential is very important. So in anything that I do, and that I believe is one of my skills. And that's why, again, I also developed fast, and I was, let's say, I became famous in professional at 22 years old, which is very young, for generally. Because I believe that a skill that I do have is recognizing what is essential. And if we look at now at the dancing world, what is essential and what has been lost is giving the priority to the great dancing, to have a great product.
Wow.
By sending this message, right? By introducing this message to the dancers, by promoting and empowering the dancers to feel that, okay, it's okay, forget trying to impress us or the establishment. Focus on your expression. Become a great dancer. If you become a great dancer, you will be rewarded. So this message has to change. The message that I received when I went to London as a 15 years old young man.
So what do they do
message.
though to make that change? So
just sending out the message. If everybody started to share that message in the competitions, as teachers, if they prioritize that, made that the priority that they are sharing, the message that they are giving, the dancers would respond to that, because I believe that 99% of the dancers now are unhappy. Because if happiness is based only on winning, then only one couple wins, everybody else is not happy. So the dancers would respond to that. I don't believe that is I don't believe is necessary. I mean, after that, of course, other things can develop and be modified and explored. Like, for example, the judging system should be changed. Like not marking 1 to 6, but what, for example, WDSF is done, but is misusing because they're not using it correctly. But the idea of having a score from 10 and 9.5 and 9 and so on, and giving the score on the individual performance, this I feel is very, very good. Because then, for example, the couple can, so at the moment, let's say a couple wins, and maybe they are better than everybody else, but they're still bad. Right? They're still not good, or they still have a very bad approach, but they somehow are better than the other couples. they're going to receive now all first, all one, 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 one. So now this couple looks at the marks and says, "Oh, I'm developing the correct direction because I'm getting all first." So it's not a true assessment, right? It's a comparison to the other couples that are on the floor, but it's not an assessment of their performance.
Very interesting.
So what WDSF introduced, but they are not using it correct. They are misusing it because they're using a different score, but to still mark 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They're still using it. They give 10 to who wins, they give 9 to who is second, they give 8. This is not the idea. The idea of this system is to give an individual evaluation. So now the couple can still win the competition, but not get any score higher than 6. So now they know that they're not getting 10. So yes, I'm winning the competition because maybe I'm a little bit better than the other guys that are here, but I'm not good yet. I'm not in the right path because I'm not getting 10. I'm getting 6 or I'm getting 5.5.
But how do you get to 10? Say you compete against, is it in your idea? Because I think it's a great system as well, and I agree with you. We have all, I think, at some point in our dancing been told, don't enjoy the winning necessarily, because you always look who you're beating, and everybody else around you is not that great. So always look at, sometimes you don't win or you're not in the final, but proud of belonging to that group. 1 to 10. Do you use it differently in different competitions, or is an absolute? Because in gymnastics, for example, then you have certain characteristics for this. I don't know what they're called. The exercises are called, but some exercises are more difficult than others. So if you do it perfectly, then you get 10 or 9.5, whatever. But for us, how do you really, introduce those parameters with the judges?
Yeah, I would have the 10 should be for that ultimate performance that maybe happens once in a lifetime to some. Yeah, and that should be left really shared when you are literally crying watching the performance, right, as a judge, and you're getting so emotionally into that performance that you want to cry, and that maybe is a 10. Everything else is below. So depending from categories, maybe you would have 1 to 3. Right, and maybe in the lower categories you would never consider even the 5, right? You would only use from 4 to 1, and 4 would be the highest score. Yeah, but again, you would not just give 4 to who you think is the best. You would still allow the space for them to recognize. To me, I would have loved that. Right? Think about if I, and the way also WDSF does this. The idea behind it, again, I'm not in favor of how they're using it, right? But the idea of, having the score, the technical assessment, the musical assessment, the partnering assessment, that's also very good. Because then as a dancer, I'm going to get at the end an evaluation, and I'm going to see that, okay, musically, maybe I get a little bit higher score. Okay, so that's good. That means that I'm quite good in musicality, but I'm getting a very bad score on partnering. Now I know that I need to develop my partnering. And maybe I'm getting even a worse score on technical skills. Then I know that I need to work on the technical skills. So the evaluation that I receive at the competition then becomes a good guidance for me to continue to develop and to see, develop my expression, but have a values to understand. And most importantly, not just get all first, not all 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, and think that I'm great and that I'm going in the right direction. So there are things that can be explored to help the dancers have a guidance.
Yeah, I know that there's a proficiency scoring that they do that. But I'm just trying to be devil's advocates, right? In a big competition, so many people. I have been interviewed judges. They said, I really cannot. I only have 1 second or 5 seconds to look at one couple. and then make a judgment call, right? It's very, very difficult. What Sam was just saying that, right? It's so difficult, especially all of them are very similar to make a choice. So, I don't know, right?
Yes.
So how do you, I know the judge will gonna counter with that point. How you
Well, you have, you can have 11 judges, and you can have, or you can have 12 judges, and you have 3 judges only focusing on technical skills, 3 judges only focusing on musicality, 3 judges only focusing on partnering, right? 3 judges only focusing on performance. So they only have to look at and evaluate one aspect of that performance. Then the overall score. But as a dancer, you don't have to try.
like
As a
that
judge, you don't have
idea.
to try and evaluate the whole thing. You can just evaluate one aspect, and then you know that, okay, I'm just focusing on this one aspect for this couple. So there are ways, but the motivation of the changes have to be guided by what is essential, and what is essential is to, again, focus everyone on greatness. Because if the product is better, when I used to compete, and again, I'm not going back, trying to say, oh, at my time it was better, just out of because they were my times. No, but for example, BBC was televising competitions in England on prime time. So there were times where the next day or a week later, people would say, "Oh wow, I saw you on BBC last week." Yeah, and as you know, BBC is like the main channel in England. So that also was helping bringing in sponsors. Pioneer was a sponsor. Yeah, there were big sponsors into the competitions because there was television. So if everybody channeled the energy into greatness, into development, into, okay, how can we make, so if the organizers of competitions focused on, okay, how can I make my competition grow, but not just grow in numbers. Yes, not just grow as an amount of competitors that I have, but actually in the quality of my competition, in the prize money for my competition. And the dancers focused on developing and becoming great dancers. And a certain judging system was developed in order to help the judges have, because they do have a short time. I remember also when I was judging, that's another thing I didn't like about judging, the amount of time you had to assess everything. So focusing, okay, how can we develop that? How can we make it greater? So if everybody put their attention in their area and made development towards greatness their essential thing, it would be very easy to move forward. This is how technology develops. This is how other industry is developed, because they are focusing, their priority is, their essential thing is development. Out of the development, they know that more finance, the finances will benefit, everything will benefit. So
Finance, that is a big one, right?
yes,
What you're saying that because you focus so much you talk about the number, all of this winning and all about money and power, finance, right?
but
So,
to me, with all respect, it's small money. Money is important, money is necessary, but let's look, if we look at the larger picture, there can be also a lot more money coming in. Yeah.
yes. So actually, it sometimes when we let the greatness flow, it will expand naturally. It will become healthier. You will
Yes.
have happier dancer. You will have happier competitor. Eventually, people don't just drop out of the industry, and actually, it's healthier growing industry eventually.
Because you have a better,
We don't
because you have
look
a better
short term.
product. You have a better product. If you have a better product, you can market it higher too. But you need the great dancers. If you have the great dancers, you can promote that. More people will want to come and watch their shows, will want to come and watch their performances. They want to come to participate in that because they feel something special when they are there. Yeah. For organizers now is such a big thing. It would help the competition so much, because now with technology you can watch a competition from home. Yes. But if the dancers were really producing great performances, the great performance is different live than on TV. The average dancer looks the same. Live or on TV looks the same. The good dancer also looks the same. The great dancer is a different thing. Yeah. So everything would develop if everybody had as an essential thing growth and development, and bring everything to, small steps, but a little higher, a little higher, a little higher, a little higher. But the attention of everyone is diluted in so many directions that the whole dancing environment has no direction as a result.
What would you do? I would like to change, hopefully, to how it's possible to make the change. I don't know.
Yeah,
Andrea.
more people have to recognize that if in their power, small or big, no matter, they are channeling their energy into doing something great, everything lifts. Yeah, no matter how small or large their contribution can be, is the direction, right? Is the direction of the whole industry, and that's why the message should be that. And if more people start to bring that as a priority, and find fulfillment, because it's not hard work. That's the thing about it, right? It's not. I always aim for greatness. As a dancer, I wanted to be first of all good. When I realized I could be great, then I wanted to be great, and then I wanted to be the greatest. As an educator now, I'm continuing to study and develop because I want to do it in the best possible way, but not because for any altruistic reason as a primary thing, but because I love to do that, because I find fulfillment in that. I'm fulfilled when I share better. And when I see that my sharing transforms the dancer, right? It's a fulfillment for me. It's not that I'm doing it because I'm a saint. I'm not a saint, but for my own fulfillment. It's so rewarding, right? If you feel that you continue to grow and develop and you're studying and you're growing and you're becoming better at what you're doing, no matter what it is that you're doing. It's fulfilling.
Beautiful.
So
I really, appreciate that.
Yeah.
So I can't say more, is that if we are rewarded by fulfillment, not by title, not by number one, two, three, when we focus on that, we'll have the greatness like Luca.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And the result is nice. I cannot deny that the result is not nice. I mean, of course, I enjoyed winning the competition, and I was not happy when I had a bad result, of course, right? This is human. So it's not that, oh, okay, it didn't make any difference. It did. For how long? 5 minutes. Right? If I had a good result, for 5 minutes I was happy, and then already my mind was, okay, now how can we continue to develop more? And if I had a bad result, I would be sad and maybe cry for 5 minutes. And then again, I would go back into, okay, now how can I make myself better? Right? Those emotions are there. We should experience every emotion, but we should not spend too much time in those emotions, good or bad, right? Those are short-term emotions. I win the competition, I'm happy for 5 minutes. 5 minutes later, I start to be worried that maybe I don't win the next competition. Right? So they are very short-term feelings. No problem. I experience them. They are nice, right? But then let's channel back into what is essential.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. I really feel it's so enjoyable at the conversation, and I really enjoy the expression and impression differentiations myself.
Yes.
Andrea, you okay? You know, no more
Yep.
questions, or you have?
No, that's it. When are we gonna see you back in the US, Luca?
At the moment, no plans. Maybe next year. Maybe next year.
Thank you.
Okay.
Let me stop our
So hope to
recording
see you
and
soon.
live. Yeah, and then we can continue the conversations. And I really appreciate you and thank you so much. And then next week, Tuesday, we're going to have Sig Pelosis, who is a judge, coach, and studio owner, organizers of 3 competition to be on our call. 7:30 October 22nd. And hopefully you'll like what we talk about and give us some thumbs and subscribe to our channel. Thank you so much. Let me